Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make frequency tables using Rguroo. So to make a frequency table, you are going to use the tool Analytics on the left hand side of Rguroo in the toolbar. So if you click on Analytics, the arrow to the left of it, it expands. And then you're going to click on Analysis. And then to do a frequency distribution, you are going to go down to tabulation. And then you have a choice. You either need to choose categorical or numerical. So categorical is if you are going to do a frequency distribution on categories, and numerical would be if it was quantitative data that you were trying to make a frequency distribution for with classes. So I'm going to show you both. Let's do one for categorical. And as with everything else, you have to choose a data set first. It says select data set. So I click the arrow and I'm going to choose bird nest. And that's a data set that I imported. And then under where it says table name, you have to go all the way to the bottom and click the plus sign. So we're going to do a frequency table on nest location. Okay, so hit the green plus sign, and then type in the title of what you're going to name your frequency table. Then you need to choose factor 1, which will be nest location. And at the bottom, you can choose whether you want a regular frequency table or whether you want to do proportions, which would make it a relative frequency table. So let's first make it a frequency table. So just choose counts and then hit the eyeball at the top. And here we go. We have distribution of a location by counts. So these are locations of nests, banks, bridges, buildings, cliffs, etc. And on the right, you can see how many of each there are. There's a total of 84. If I go back to basics, you can click back on the nest location, and then I can change it to, I can unclick counts and I can choose proportion instead, and then click on my eyeball. And you can see now it's relative frequencies. Or I can go back to basics and I can click on nest location and then choose counts and proportion. And then I have a table that's got both. Or actually I've got two tables rather. You can also make a table with percentages instead. That was also an option. Okay, so now we've made a frequency table and a relative frequency table for qualitative data for categories. Now let's make one for numerical data. So click on, you're going to click on Analytics again, click on Analysis, and you're going to go to Tabulation again, but this time you're going to go to Numerical. You're going to select a data set. I'm choosing bird nest again, and then it automatically pops up with where you want to, what you want to name your frequency table. I'm going to wait on naming it and until after I decide what numerical type value, what variable we're going to use. So let's see, I'm going to do the number of eggs. So I'm going to change this over here on the left to number of bird eggs. Okay, now at this point all you have to do is hit the eyeball and it will create a frequency table for you. Now this one looks a little weird. Okay, so what you need to do are these three columns here, lower, middle, and upper. They're basically showing the lower boundary and the upper boundary and the midpoint of each of these classes on the left. So the classes are listed on the left, the frequencies are on the far right. So you can ignore these three columns as far as what we're used to seeing. And this would be your classes over here on the left, and frequency would be on the right. What I do want you to notice is they're using interval notation. So for the first class here, 1, 1.5, this is really from 1 to 1.4999999. So you see they have a bracket next to the 1. That means that 1 is included in this class, and then it has a parenthesis around the 1.5. It means 1.5 is not included. So it goes from 1 to just before 1.5. And the second class goes from 1.5 to just before 2. So it includes the lower boundary in each of these classes, but not the upper boundary. And the frequencies, again, are on the right. If you would rather do a relative frequency, you can click back on basics, and you can click on proportions and percent instead, and then view it. And you'll notice they not only give the relative frequency, they also give the percentage, if you were interested in that. And then if I went back to basics, I can also click counts, and you could have frequency and relative frequency all in one table. All right, one more thing. This is a lot of classes. You see that? That's a lot of classes. So what I can do is, going back here where it says bins, I can change it to this little dot here. Click begin instead of method, and you can tell it where you want it to begin counting, that lowest lower boundary, and what you want the width to be. You can define that if you want. So as I'm looking at it, I think I need to go 1 or lower for the lowest, and we're going all the way up to 13ish. I think maybe count by 2. So I'm going to start at 0 and count by 2. So it says begin 0 width 2, and now when you look at it, it changes things up again. It definitely makes the frequency table have less classes, and so this first class goes from 0 to just before 2. The second class goes from 2 to just before 4, so on and so forth. And again, I have frequency, relative frequency, and percent listed, but I can always go to the basics and unclick the ones that I do not want it to show. And that is how you create a frequency distribution for both categorical data and for numerical data. If you have questions, let me know.